Can you just record? Okay.
Yeah, so we start with bulk processing. So let's first go to a concept called context switch. So
Okay.
what happens is whenever we write a PLSQL program, it mostly has both PLSQL and SQL statements, correct?
Yes.
Now the PLSQL statements are run by the PLSQL statement executor and SQL statements are run by the SQL statement executors.
Okay.
So when the PLSQL runtime engine encounters a SQL statement, it stops and passes that statement over to the SQL engine. Then the SQL engine executes the statements and then returns the information back to the PLSQL engine.
Okay.
So now this transfer of control is called context switch.
Okay.
Okay. So first what happened? PLSQL engine had the entire code. Then it started executing it. The point where it finds the SQL statement, it passes that SQL statement to SQL engine. Now the SQL engine executes those SQL statements and returns the information back to the SQL engine, PLSQL engine. Now this entire transfer of control is known as context switch.
Okay.
So as you can see, each of these switches will slow down the performance of your program.
Okay.
Okay. Since first PLSQL will be executed, then it will get transferred, then again SQL will execute. So the entire process becomes very slow. So to solve this problem, bulk processing came into picture.
It is byte processing.
Bulk, B-U-L-K.
Can you just
It's still not ready, so we'll have to wait for some time. It's bulk. I'll write it in chat.
okay, bulk.
So like for example, if we have an update statement and that row is updating two blocks or two rows. So for one row, one context switch happened. It went to SQL engine. SQL engine again returned it back to the PLSQL engine. Similarly, if there are two rows, then again for the second row, the same thing happened. So for two uh, rows, execution of query, two context switch happens. Suppose there are 100 or thousands or 10,000 rows, which will happen normally in any business project. So if there are 10,000 rows, there will be 10,000 context switches. So
Okay.
you can imagine how slow the program will become. Okay. So to
Okay.
overcome this very problem, we have bulk processing. So what happens is, using bulk processing, what we can do is we can bundle up all the statements and pass it together. All the SQL statements will be bundled up together and passed to the context switch. That means instead of one row getting fetched and then sending to SQL engine, then getting back the information from it and storing it in PLSQL engine, then again going back, what we do is all the SQL statements are bundled together and then together it is passed to the SQL engine. And then together it is retrieved back from SQL engine to PLSQL engine.
Okay.
So this reduces the time. To do this, we have two options. One is bulk collect and the other one is for all. Let me just try to log on again. So what are bulk collect? Bulk collect are set in the select statement, which will retrieve multiple rows in a single fetch and then pass it on to SQL engine. We'll write a code for it and see how do we exactly do that. But to understand bulk collect, whichever select statement retrieves multiple rows, we will combine that multiple rows in a single fetch and store it in a collection, and then we send the collection to the SQL engine.
Okay.
Similarly, for all is for insert, update and delete statements. So this uses the collection to change multiple rows of data very quickly. So bulk collect was for select statements, for all is for insert, update and delete statements. So this will be used for all the collections. Collections can have, we spoke about collections, right? Different type of collections. We spoke about index by table collection, VRA collection, nested table collection. We've spoken about these or not, nested table and VRA? Oh, before we go into bulk processing, there are two more topics that I want to cover.
Okay.
Just a second.
So this is within context with
This is also advanced PLSQL only. This
no,
is
no, within context with
collections. Those collections
okay.
will be used for bulk processing. That is why I want to go to that before we go into bulk processing.
Okay.
Okay. So remember, while we were talking about collections, I spoke about index by table, and then I spoke about nested tables and VRAs.
Yes.
Yeah, but we could not go into detail of it. So they are advanced topics. That's why at that time I told you that we'll go into it at the end of the course. So today first we'll start with nested tables.
Okay.
Uh, my PLSQL developer is taking a bit of time to get started. So I'll start writing it here in the notepad, and when it starts, we just execute it there. So you can copy it from the notepad, and we just copy
Sure.
this and execute it in our SQL developer when it starts.
Okay.
So what are nested tables? It is a type of collection. And unlike index by table collections, we can store this in the database.
Okay.
Index by tables could not be stored, but this can be stored in the database.
Okay.
And in index by tables, the index could either be referenced by a integer, indexed by a integer, or by a variable. We can also write of a, like in index we used to write like of 1, of 2, like this. So instead of this, we can also have a and b varchar as well. But for nested tables, we can only index the collection using integers.
Okay.
Now let's see how do we write this. Declare. Here you have to define it. So how do we define? This is the syntax. Type then any name you can give, any name, then is table of okay. So this is the syntax.
Okay.
Then you have to define an identifier of this type. So let's say customer table of this particular type. So I'll have to write this type. This is the same as index by. Index by table also we had to declare a identifier of the collection type, so that wherever in the program we have to use the collection, we'll use the identifier and not the collection itself.
Okay.
So here also it's the same, but in index by what we did was we stopped it here. There was no need to initialize it. We could not initialize it there, but here it's compulsory to initialize it here itself. So since this is a collection and we have still not stored anything, how do you initialize it? We initialize it by calling the default constructor of this type. That would be the name and then 2 brackets. So this will initialize it.
Okay.
And then we have a number. This doesn't come in the syntax, this number. I'm using this so that I can use it in my program. I'm declaring this so that I can use it in my program. Then I have my begin block. Now inside begin, like in index by, what we did was customer underscore table of 1 is equal to, we assign some value. Then of 2 we assign some another value. Here we cannot simply or directly assign it. For nested tables, what we have to do is, how many ever values I want to assign, I'll have to extend the table by those many values. Suppose I have to, suppose I have to insert 4. I want to insert 4 values. So what I have to do is customer table, this identifier, customer table dot extend. Extend is a keyword. Dot extend of how many, by how many rows or by how many values do you want to extend it. It's not a row because all the collections are single dimensional arrays. Okay. So by how many values do you want to extend it? So suppose say 4. We'll have this. Now I can insert it. How do I insert it? The same way that I did for index by.
What if I don't extend it?
If you don't extend it, you will not be able to insert it. It will throw you an error.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm saying that all the data would be of varchar type. You have to make sure that all the data is of varchar type. Here I have defined it as varchar. Okay. If you remember, in index by, after 1 we could have 6 also. This is also fine for index by, correct? The order need not be consecutive.
Yes.
But for nested tables, you cannot have 1 and 6 after that. You should have it in a consecutive and a proper order. So if it's 1, this has to be 2. Then the next one has to be 3. Then again the next one has to be 4.
Okay.
And if I try to insert another, it will throw me an error because I have given the extent of 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have these. Now I have these 4 values in my collection. Okay. So understood this? By extend, we are extending, or we are providing some space, memory space to this collection. So we have provided this 4. We have provided memory space for only 4 values. So we can only insert 4 values here.
Okay.
Okay. So this is, so how many differences have you seen so far between index by and this?
The initialization is actually same, I think. We have added the extend here.
So initialization is different here. We didn't initialize this identifier in case of index by.
No, no, no. I think the values, I think, after begin.
Okay, you're talking about after begin. Okay.
Yeah, after begin. So that is, you said correct. So the initialization wasn't there,
Hmm.
index by table.
Hmm.
These are the two things I can see the difference.
Okay, so there are 3 differences. One is this initialization. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is this extent, and the third one is the order.
There we could have, okay.
There the order doesn't matter. I can skip anything, and instead of 4 I can write 6 here if it's indexed by. But I have to write 4 if it's nested table.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Then other functions are the same. If I have to delete it, what will I do? Customer table dot delete, and whichever element I have to delete. So this will delete this one. Okay. This is fine. This is same. There's another difference here, which would be here for using a index by table. How did we use it? If we have to print something,
Uh, don't remember, Milan.
okay. So there we used to give just this name and then the index. Okay.
Okay.
Here we can not directly have it. So what we will have is inside this collection. That is why this is called nested. This is one collection. Inside that again, suppose I have to have the first one. So this is how I will check it. If I need index, instead of this I can have this. That is fine. So this will give me the first element.
Anila?
Yeah.
I just clicked share your screen from my screen. Ignore it, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see the chat. So you want
Sorry?
you want to share the screen?
No. That's what I by mistake I have clicked my share my screen. So
Okay.
ignore it. Ignore it. Please ignore it.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm done.
So this was all about
Table.
nested table collection. Now we'll go with VRAs.
VRS.
Yeah, this is also a type of collection. So a VRA is similar to a nested table. There are two differences. The other difference that nested table has with index by table is present for VRA as well. But within VRA and nested table also there are two differences. The first difference
Okay.
is we have to give some upper bound to the declaration. Like while we declare it here, declare type, customer type is VRA. Now, like this was is table and we stop, correct? And we continue with of that guy. But here I have to specify of how many size.
Yeah.
Okay. If I say 4 here, I can have just 4 elements in it. Okay.
Okay.
This will store only 4 values. So I have to specify this size during the declaration itself. It's clear? Hello?
Yeah. I was just looking the syntax.
Okay. This is the difference. Let me know. I'll continue.
Yeah. So the other things are same. You mean
No,
to
there is
say?
one more
I can
difference.
note down.
No, there is one more difference.
Okay.
Let me just explain that and then you can note down. This is
Okay.
fine. We have to initialize it while declaration. The identifier of
Okay.
this type, the type of collection that we're using, in this case VRA. Again, to insert, you have to first extend it and then insert, and the insertion should be in the same order, consecutive order.
Okay.
The difference comes in this line. You cannot delete single values whenever you have VRA collection.
Okay.
Okay, you cannot delete an item out of VRA. You have to delete either the entire VRA or you cannot delete anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It doesn't come into the picture.
no.
Delete.
So this cannot happen. Delete cannot happen.
Okay.
Delete of single items is not possible in VRA.
Okay.
Rest everything is fine.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, so now we've learned about three types of selections. The first one is index by, the second one is
Table. Nested table.
nested table,
We
and VI. So these three collections are there. Now we'll go back to bulk collect. So I told you bulk processing is done using two things. One is bulk collect and the other one is for all. Okay. Let me just check if my PLSQL developer is ready. I'll have to restart my system in order to.
The services are up.
Huh?
The Oracle services are up and running fine.
No, I'll have to restart my system. So what I'm doing is I am making you the presenter and organizer, and then I'll restart my system.
Okay.
Or wait, I can do one more thing.
Now you are using your office laptop.
No, I'm using the Claps laptop.
Okay. Okay. So just want to see the services, whether the services are up and running.
No, this has happened before also.
Down in progress. Shutdown in progress. Okay. Now can you go to services? We can see whether services are started or not.
Okay. So if you just give me a minute,
Sure.
I'll rectify this and come.